This has got me wound up. So this worked out great. I just realized I forgot my hat. Man, I don't go anywhere without my hat. Some of you probably didn't know that I wasn't bald, huh? Okay, maybe a little bit. But not totally. Well, hey there, hobby homesteaders. Welcome back to Peaks Peak. If you're new to the channel, my name's Lucas, and we are sharing our hobbies here on our 38 acres in eastern Kentucky, and we're glad to have you. Today, we are just out here playing. Now, I have lots of stuff to do, and I normally don't have time to play, but I felt like what I have beside me here warranted an afternoon of playing, because I have wanted a grapple attachment ever since I got my tractor. What we have is the Artillian rock bucket with a grapple attachment. We wanted the rock bucket because we have loads of rocks in our soil here in Kentucky, and we have lots of excavating and things that we like to clean up. Plus we have a dirt bike track that is constantly covered in big rocks. We walk around picking those up by hand. So the rock bucket is going to serve its purpose that way. Well, the great thing about Artillian is they have this awesome rock bucket design that we shared with you in our last video about them. But then they also have these grapple attachments that you can add on to the rock bucket. Now, you can actually add multiple grapple attachments to this. You can add 2 of these grapple teeth to this bucket if you want to, and have even extra gripping power. But I felt like using the subcompact tractor, the Kubota BX, I didn't want to limit my lifting power any more than I had to. So I decided to just add 1 grapple attachment for now. We'll try that out and we'll let you know how that works. We may go back for a second attachment later. But today, I'm just going to get out and play with this, figure out how it works, figure out what I can do and what I can't do with it, because I've never used one. And I'm hoping to be able to use this to recover logs and keep from dragging them in the dirt and all of that. Let's just play around, see what we can come up with here. Now, I'm gonna start right here with this oak log that's 10 foot 3 inches long, and it's about a 13-inch diameter log, relatively heavy, but we were able to, with our bucket and pallet forks, set it up on top of this. So I'm gonna try out the rock bucket and grapple and see how it handles this. So never having operated a grapple or a third function diverter, I had to get used to the controls just a little bit and figure out exactly how to approach this. But once we figured it out, man, this grapple is amazing. I did not have the tractor idled up very high, and it had enough power to not only curl the log, but to raise it with the arms. That's something that the tractor struggled to do with my bucket and pallet forks. And I don't even have my throttle turned up all the way to do that, so that's exciting. And the cool thing about this grapple attachment is you can see the rock bucket has these teeth on the edge of it to help you grip a log like this. And then, of course, we have this really aggressive jaw on the front, and you can see how well it's gripping that log. So it's sitting on the teeth of the rock bucket there. So this worked out great. I just realized I forgot my hat. Man, I don't go anywhere without my hat. Some of you probably didn't know that I wasn't bald, huh? Okay, maybe a little bit. But not totally. Our test lifting logs went perfectly. The next thing we wanted to try is just picking up firewood rounds. We've got some really large rounds. This is actually a stump that I cut off. And Caden and I just rolled these on the ground or picked them up and put them into the side-by-side to move them over here to the pile. And I was thinking how much easier it would have been if I could just pull over with a grapple and clamp down on them, pick them up, carry them over to the pile. Well, now I can see how much easier it is. And my back is really liking what we see. Now I said I'm just up here playing, and I am, but I'm kind of doing tests to give myself an idea of what I'm going to be able to accomplish with this bucket and grapple. And we definitely can move logs, and you can see the log that we moved is one of the biggest logs that's over there. It's not the biggest, but we were able to, with that rock bucket, curl it and pick it up with the arms. And I honestly think that with my bucket and pallet forks, we had a harder time lifting it. So I think this setup may be lighter than my skid steer quick attach bucket with the pallet forks attached to it. At least we didn't lose anything in lifting capacity. So that's a relief, because I was concerned about that, but I also wanted to be able to demonstrate to you guys that these little BXs, that's a 54-inch rock bucket with a grapple. Very useful attachment, and it's handling it just fine. That's exciting to me. So the next thing we want to test is moving brush. Now, this grapple with the rock bucket is going to be a little bit different than your normal like root rake grapples and things like that. I think it might be better suited for moving brush piles than some of those others, because you won't lose as much material out the bottom. My only concern is things might get hung up in it, so we'll see how that goes. But I've got this pile of brush right here. I want to make this wood yard look as nice as I can, so I don't want brush piles piled all the way around the wood yard. So I'm going to move this brush pile down to the front corner down here and at least consolidate a little bit of this brush. Hopefully at some point we can get us a wood chipper in here. That way we can chip up some of these brush piles and get us a stump grinder in here so that we can grind off some of these stumps. And eventually we're gonna have a nice pretty wood yard to work in. But on with the test. Let's get the grapple over here and let's move this brush pile. I can't hardly wipe the grin off of my face. And I have been this way about all of the Artillian products that I have gotten to try out. I love my tool rack on my side-by-side and all the toolboxes, and I haul my saws, my gas cans, all those accessories are just working fantastic. It's a great product. I love the rock bucket, and I showed you what kind of time savings I got out of the rock bucket cleaning up Cameron's yard. Love it. The diverter attachment, very well made. All of the whole design, from the hoses and electrical, everything seems to work just kind of the way that I would have planned it out if I was going to fit it to this tractor. So it's a good fit. The way the button mounts on the handle, all of that seems to work just fantastic. And now we've got our grapple jaws on the rock bucket. And I've never used a grapple, never used one. And I drove straight up to this brush pile, first brush pile I've ever driven up to, and I grabbed the whole stinking pile, the whole pile. Look at that mouthful of brush. Just can't beat it. And it's got a good hold on it. So let's go dump it, and then we'll clean up kind of the rest of this, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what we're going to get into with this grapple. Now, I carried this load of brush all the way across the wood yard, dragging a couple that were hanging out of the side, and nothing fell out of the bucket all the way over there, so it's got a good grip. I also mentioned earlier that I was a little bit concerned about whether the brush would get stuck between the slats on the rock bucket, and so I was anxious to see how that was going to work out. Well, as you can see, when I dumped the bucket, I had no trouble getting everything emptied out of the slats. Now, I thought the brush pile would probably be the last test that I did, but I saw these railroad ties sitting here, and I knew that was the next project we're going to be working on. So I had to try and see how easy it was going to be to pick these railroad ties up off of the ground. So I grabbed the first one, simple as could be, and then I decided I needed to see how it would handle two. Now I pulled up to this, and I tried a couple of different things, but what I realized is that I can reach across that with the grapple hook, grab onto those two, and pick it up, and the grapple grip is strong enough to hold those two railroad ties right against the bucket and not drop them. So literally every test I could think to try, this grapple exceeded my expectations. This is my first time ever touching a grapple. That's how simple it is. That's how useful this thing is going to be. This has got me wound up. So if you haven't checked out Artillian Tractor, you need to be sure and go to their website. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and warn you. A lot of times I share products with you that are kind of the most affordable or the cheapest option, because a lot of times that's how I have to operate. I'm on a budget. I don't have unlimited money to spend. So I'm usually looking for a cheap option to get by. An Artillian tractor doesn't fall in that category. Artillian sells a premium product at a premium price, but they absolutely deliver. There's just no question about it. The fit and finish, the quality, the strength of these items, there's not one thing about it that I feel like is the least bit flimsy. And in fact, I feel like it is overbuilt. It's just fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. You will see me use these products on my channel and put them through the paces. You know, I don't keep my equipment clean and pristine. They're not garage queens. Everything that I have, I use and I put it to work. And that's what you're gonna see here on Peaks Peak. If you are in the market for a rock bucket, pallet fork attachments, grapple attachments, third function diverter setup, tool racks, tool rack accessories, or even a cab for your tractor, Artillian is a division of Curtis Industries that makes cabs for tractors. So they even have cabs on their website. So go check it out, Artillian Tractor, and tell them Peaks Peak sent you. I hope that you enjoyed this video and seeing us try out our new Grapple. This will be the last play video that I make with this, because from here on out, we got to get to work. I'm going to be using this Grapple to set these railroad ties on top of the posts that we put in the ground as the base for our sawmill. Once we get our sawmill in place, then we're going to start building a shed over the roof of it. Now, we're also going to use this whole setup to work on our dirt bike track. Caden loves to ride his dirt bike, and so do I. So we're going to expand that track, which means we'll be able to use the rock bucket to help clean up the rocks. We're gonna use the grapple attachment to clean up brush, and we're gonna be cutting down some trees to harvest the logs, so that as we expand that area, none of that goes to waste. So if you're not a subscriber, be sure and subscribe to our channel and follow all the hobbies that we get into here. Guys, until next time, don't forget to get outside and enjoy God's creation. It's beautiful out here. Y'all have a good day.